to talk. I'm Susan Stageman. I'm NLP Training Concepts. We're going to talk with Johnette Taylor today of Roundtree Landscaping. She is just a fabulous designer of landscape. And here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, if you're fortunate to live here, this is the go-to person for beautiful yards. And she's had her company since 1984, and she's a designer, as like, you know, there are people that do your inside. Well, she does your landscape. And she's going to talk to us today about how to get the most for your landscaping dollar. She's also, we're going to talk a lot about design and fall planting, because this is, for those of you that are in other parts of the country, you'll know that there is, we have two planting seasons where a lot of places north of the Mason-Dixon line do not. And so actually fall is the best time to plant, believe it or not, because our ground doesn't freeze, and so the roots can be well established before the hot weather comes in the summer, which is like our winter. There's a couple of things I want to just say about Johnette and her company before I let her take over.
Thanks.
And that is that Roundtree Landscaping has won a lot of awards. I went online and looked, and you have lists and lists and lists of awards that you've won for your landscape design. So I hope you'll talk a little bit about that. So, Johnette, well, I'm going to hand it over to you. Oh, one other thing I want to say about her company, and that is that you really work at doing things the most cost effectively. That I noticed in your brochure that you talk about really doing cost effective landscaping rather than just, you know, see how much you can charge a client. So
we try to add value instead of just feeling like, you know, we're out there to make magic. We do make magic, and it's really exciting to be able to go into somebody's home or their business and work with them and change the environment that they've got. But we want to do it in the most cost-effective way. I mean, it's just how I am personally. It's how I'm made. So it's hard for me to do otherwise.
Yeah, that's great. Well, what are some of the things that you do to save a client cost, just briefly?
Well, we're going to look at their existing plants. A lot of times they have things that can be used, or the landscape has really good bones. But maybe things have outgrown the space, maybe only part of it needs to be removed. A lot of times we can even take their old concrete patios, driveways, things like that, and reuse them in a different way, put a new topping on top instead of taking it out and replacing it.
That's nice.
So it just depends on each situation, but we really try to look at it in a value-added perspective.
Yeah. So I know that you focus on design. You're going to show us some examples here in a few minutes of your design and the piece of paper, and then how it gets translated into what it looks like with all of it finished. But also tell us a little bit about the fall planting season. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's just what you said. I mean, you know, we say fall is the second planting season, but it's really second to none. Our summers are harder on our plants than our winters are. You know, we don't have, I mean, even last year we had snow, 3 times, 4 times? That wasn't a hard winter for our plants. The ground never froze. I mean, some of us, I know I complained daily, but I hate cold weather.
Yeah, because we can't go any place when we had as much snow as we did.
Exactly. I hate cold weather.
Year.
But the plants, you know, they didn't suffer through that. Sometimes the snow was really heavy on the live oaks. We had some damage on those, but clients that kept their trees trimmed real well really didn't have those issues. Okay. So, but the summer heat is a whole nother ballgame, and especially if we're having a dry summer. A dry, hot summer is really difficult on the plants. Again, you know how bad it feels to you, and they're really struggling. Our soil here, you know, doesn't allow for the water to hold for very long. So those plants are really struggling. So fall is the best time to plant. You know, we have people thinking, oh, well, winter's coming, so it's done. I'll wait till next spring. But in reality, if you go ahead with your projects now, you really can have a lot more beautiful yard and a yard that'll sustain itself through the heat of the summer.
Oh, that's very, very good to know. Because I think a lot of people, especially people that move down here from north, think that, okay, we're going into the winter.
I'm done.
We're finished, yeah. And yet, if you, I was out walking today in the neighborhood, and people plant, those of you that are looking out, from outside the Texas area, north of here, people scrape their lawns from the summer grass. We have summer and winter grass, right? And all the ryegrass is out, and
it's coming up,
and it's beautiful. It's real bright green, and that'll be good for the entire winter. And then we'll bring the, was it Bermuda? I'm not very good at the grasses here.
Bermuda, St. Augustine.
St. Augustine, yeah. And that'll come back. And that grass is like real thick hair.
Well, it goes dormant in the winter.
Yeah.
And rye and fescue are cool season grasses. So those grasses thrive in the wintertime.
Yeah.
But the St. Augustine Bermuda comes right back out. So.
Show us some, I know you had some pictures of some plants that would work really well for this time of year.
Yeah, I brought some pictures of 3 of my favorites for fall. The first one, this is my absolute favorite.
Okay, where do we put that?
I hand these to Jimmy.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Oops.
So this is American Beautyberry. So American Beautyberry, it's a deciduous plant. It's going to lose its leaves in the winter, but these purple berries are going to be on this plant all winter long. The really amazing thing is the birds about February will eat these off, and right after
they get drunk?
Not these.
Okay.
But they'll eat these, and then right after that, the leaves will come right back on.
Oh, okay.
So,
that's very good.
but it's a really great plant. Now it'll get big, about 6 foot, so leave plenty of room.
Okay. Now what's this? This one's really pretty, very pretty too.
This is called Turk's Cap. Turk's Cap's a perennial, which means it's going to die down in the winter. There will be nothing there, but it'll come right back in the spring.
Okay.
And it's going to look really awesome. It's going to attract hummingbirds and really just attractive color all year.
Very, very good. That's beautiful. That almost takes the place of roses, our roses.
It's going to be not quite as tall, but almost. And
this
just
one
a really
goes
great
like
look.
this, right?
Yep, it's a vine. So this is Sweet Autumn Clematis. It's going to bloom. Isn't that amazing?
Beautiful?
It's called sweet because it smells really sweet. I mean, it's just intoxicating. It's going to start blooming at the end of August. It's going to bloom up until maybe mid-October. This is a perennial. It's going to die down to the ground again, and it's going to shoot up this much in 1 year.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you need an evergreen vine, what we do is we put a spring blooming vine underneath it. We let it come back in the spring. Come back in the summer, so you have something that blooms in the spring and then something that blooms in the fall.
Now this what was I going to say about this? I mean, this is absolutely gorgeous. It looks like it's
pretty amazing.
It's on a vine.
It's on a trellis.
Trellis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very, very good.
You can put it on your fence.
Well,
I mean, a lot of people have a wood fence
yeah.
or something.
What was this called again? What was
Sweet Autumn Clematis?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very, very good. So those are some examples. Any other ones that you could?
Well, I always tell people fall and winter is your best time to plant trees. So, this is a great time. Once the trees go dormant in the fall, it's a really good time to handle them and move them and that type of thing. So it's a great time to be looking for trees. If you like red oaks, this is a really good time. Whatever color your tree turns, whether it's an oak or something else, a maple, it's going to be that color every year.
Okay.
So this is a great time to pick out your trees before they lose their leaves. Winter's a great time to plant. They're dormant and they handle the best.
What about watering in the winter? What do you?
You still need to water. Don't quit. We need to put down between a ½ inch to an inch of water, and it depends on how much rain we get. So buy a cheap rain gauge and put it in your backyard, and just after a rain, go out and take a look at it. If you've gotten a ½ inch of water, look at the plants. Maybe give them 3 or 4 days and then run your irrigation system once.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
but don't just shut it off for weeks on end, because you're actually then drying the plants out too much. And you know how bad it is for you to get dehydrated. It's equally as bad for plants.
Yeah,
So-
I tend to water more in the summertime
Well,
than
sure.
I do in the winter. And I don't even think about it, but I was out there this morning, and I decided I better turn my sprinkler system. Things were getting a little dry, so
The leaves will droop, you know.
yeah.
They'll start to look wilted, absolutely.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the design now. Why don't you hand me this? This is an example, and I know Johnette from a networking group, and she's taken a couple of my classes. This is I know from just talking with her that people can spend tens of thousands of dollars on some type of design like this, right?
Sure.
And yet I mean, I'm not going to give prices here, but this can cost a lot less than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much
less.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the whole reason I went into business for myself, I studied landscape architecture in college. I'm a landscape architect. And when I got out of college 30 years ago, landscaping was very different than it is now. And landscape architects really only worked for very wealthy people or on public projects.
Yeah.
So I graduated from college. My family wasn't terribly affluent, but, you know, they could afford things, and they couldn't afford to hire me. So, you know, I thought, this is not good.
This isn't,
The
yeah, what's wrong
average
with this?
person really needs to get, you know, good landscaping.
Right.
So we try to offer all of those professional services at a quality price.
It does do a lot to improve the value of your home, your
Absolutely.
property, doesn't it? Yeah.
Well,
So-
and
yeah,
the
go ahead.
benefit of having a landscape architect and talking about professional services is that there are things that you don't see. And so I think there's a lot of different trades in the landscape profession, and I think everyone has its place.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking of really re-landscaping your yard, it's really important to bring in a professional who'll look at grading, drainage. If anybody's ever had foundation problems, which everybody in Dallas does, you really need to take those things into account when you're replanting or redoing
Right.
your
And if you're
landscape.
putting in a watering system, you definitely want
Irrigation
it
system.
to be as effective, you know, and do
Exactly.
the reach.
And irrigation's a whole another issue. It's a license. It's required that you have an irrigation license in the state of Texas. And I'm a licensed irrigator as well, and we have several licensed irrigators on staff. We have an arborist on staff to look at your trees, tell you that
that's
they
excellent.
are indeed healthy. Because sometimes we'll go into a project and a customer will want to do a renovation to their home or add on to their home, and they'll plan the whole thing around a tree when that tree is really not in a healthy state, and it should just be removed because it's going to die anyway.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're not an advocate of cutting down trees or removing things that you don't need, but you really have to look at it and think, how much money am I going to spend trying to keep this alive? Would I not be better off to just go ahead and plant a new tree and have something that's really going to do well?
Yeah.
Do you deal with any green at all? Like
Green or organic, that sort of thing.
Yep.
Do you do that?
We do mostly organic.
Oh, good.
Oh, see?
I take what I call sort of we try to be 100% organic, but there are times that I'm going to not be able to control something or take care of it most effectively. And when that happens, then we'll step in and use a chemical if we need to.
Oh, great. Well, let's now. I want to put this back up for our viewers again. So you see, here it is on paper. So let's talk about how this translated into the real world here. So
Well,